All right. We were in executive session, took a brief break here. So I'd like to return to our regular session here. We'll do a motion to return to the meeting.
I'll make a motion to return to public session.
Yeah. I'll second. Okay, and we will take a roll call vote for that. Gates?
Yes.
Fenwick?
Yes.
Lindblom?
Yes.
Barkowski?
Yes.
Brandolini, yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight we have a few special people to recognize. First, we'd like to recognize school committee member Peter Gates for his contributions to our school committee. And with us tonight, we have Representative Kearney and a representative from Patrick O'Connor's office as well, Senator O'Connor. So thank you for joining us. Did you want to come up to the microphone?
Yep.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and to take a couple of minutes to honor the service and sacrifice of Peter Gates and his family for the last 9 years. We really appreciate everything that you've done for the town of Scituate. You've made a significant impact on the future of this town and the future of the state, and I really, really appreciate all the time and dedication that you, and I know it's a family effort, so I really am appreciative of the time that you have given us, but the time that your family has allowed you to give us as well. So myself and Senator O'Connor, he's actually in budget debate right now, and I think they'll be in pretty late, but I have a citation from the House of Representatives and the Senate. We have the opportunity every Monday and Friday to read into the record something of significance, and I will read what we had read into the record on your behalf in the House and the Senate. So it says, "Be here it known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives and the Massachusetts State Senate offers its sincerest congratulations to Peter Gates in recognition of 9 years of service to the students, families, and educators of the Scituate Public School System through his work on the Scituate School Committee. His steady leadership, commitment to education, and thoughtful advocacy have helped guide the district through both challenges and successes. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all of your endeavors." Signed by the Speaker, the Senate President, myself, and Senator O'Connor. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks.
I know. Hold up. Thank you. You too? Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Time for cake.
Thanks again, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. I just wanted to recognize you too on behalf of our committee here, that you've been a devoted member of our committee for 3 terms, committing your time, energy, and focus to 9 years of meetings, subcommittee work, and just general civic engagement all around town. During Peter's tenure, he served as chair during one of the most volatile times as we entered COVID shutdown period and transitioned to virtual meetings to conduct business. Managing through decision-making during that first year was extremely stressful, but Peter took on the role and kept us steady. He has been a tireless advocate for special education, playing a central role in the establishment of our Special Ed Stabilization Fund. He's also been our committee's financial guru, asking critical questions about our budget and the intricacies of spending and allocation that only someone with his professional knowledge can bring. I personally have learned an incredible amount from you over these years. I'm gonna cry. And you will be missed.
Thank you.
you.
It's been my pleasure. Do I have to speak?
It's not your last meeting.
Oh yeah, it's not your
It's
last
not your
meeting.
last meeting, so you
Not
can
my
take
last
another
meeting.
week or
You
two
have
to
2 more
prepare.
meetings.
You're not done with it.
One more. Oh yeah, it's just the first.
No, it's been I never really knew how it was gonna end, right? Like when is this gonna be over? And my goal when I ran for school committee was to make Scituate proud and develop this idea of saying, hey, yeah, I went to student high school and I'm proud of our Scituate public schools. I think we're approaching that. I don't think I fully got there, but I think that we're in the right direction. I think we're very, very close. And I appreciate everyone on the board that we've worked with. I'm trying to figure out, we have worked with 4 superintendents. I think the first week or 2 we had.
Yeah.
On our 4th superintendent,
You guys,
fourth superintendent, and we worked with, I think the board has changed from, I think there were 4 males at first.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
Rich, Mike, and Mike.
Mike and Mike, yeah.
And then we reversed that trend. Now, aside from that, we have been through a lot. All of us have been through different challenges, and Janice and I started the same day 9 years ago. It was on a whim. Someone came and asked me. They said, like, Janice said we should run for school committee. I'm like, what? What school committee? And then here we are 9 years later.
And you're leaving me.
It's been a great ride. Definitely some challenge. I think COVID probably was the real reason why I'm calling it quits now. It really was a stressful time for us. And I feel like we did a good job just as well as anyone else, but it was a really trying time for me, I think. Now that my kids are getting older, I'm gonna focus on some other things as well. Probably still involved in Scituate somehow, but I need a little bit of a break for a while. But you guys have all been amazing, and Scituate is in great hands with these members, and whatever member gets elected in another 10 days, 15 days.
You're not counting.
Something like that. But I'm always here, and I'll probably come to some of your meetings. So this won't be my last meeting, but I appreciate all your effort, and it's really a pleasure working with all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. We should have cake, yes? We're gonna have just like a 5-minute recess. Yeah, so people can have a piece of cake if they want.
Take a break.
Yeah, cake break.
Okay, right?
Ryan has the knife, yeah?
It's
It's
over
been
there.
surrendered.
Oh, okay. It's on its way.
It's near the cake.
All right, okay. Yeah.
You wanna cut it?
Okay, yeah.
Nine years.
You just say, you did.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you. Just this way I can actually see. Sometimes when it's up there, I can't always,
I'll have a
never wanted to turn down cake.
Look at these.
I will.
I never like know whether to bother. No, I was. Yeah, like you have to be careful. I was like, then I get home and I'm hungry, but it's like
Exactly.
like you don't really want to dinner. It's always such an
Mr. Lynch.
Yes, no. I'm okay, thank you.
Yes, it was. And I'm like.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Break the door knob, you're welcome to stay around. I'm going back.
I gave my friends a little bit of which too. Yeah, like, oh, is that okay? I'm not gonna
Would you take
cats.
this one?
No.
Oh,
Some things will say.
Your kids will, pretty soon,
I
you'll be
know.
like, shh, shh.
Well, they do. My oldest he doesn't want to talk to me. I said I'll do that.
You guys don't want to hear.
Yeah, it's funny. Custodians.
Very true. Good point.
Don't go nice with the pizza.
Sorry. Sorry, Carrie, we can't send you any cake virtually.
It's pretty cool. We'll frame them.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool, huh?
Thank you.
All right, while we will open up for public comment. Any public
Very
comments?
Marie Antoinette.
Such a compliment to me. I know that sounds weird, but it is. All right, nobody in person, any hands raised virtually? Looking now, not seeing anyone. Okay. Before we have our student report, we have a student to recognize who's graduating. So Anna, we are so thankful to have had you on our team this year. You have been such a strong contributor with thoughtful, empathetic, just fantastic input throughout the year, really giving us great guidance and insight into what's happening at school, at the high school and everything, just academically, socially, and sort of interpersonally with all of the kids and staff. So we really appreciate you and your service to, Scituate Public Schools this year.
Thank you. It's been honestly fun. I feel like I was warned that I might not be able to say that, but it's definitely been insightful and I've enjoyed it a lot.
She's one of us.
Honestly, I've enjoyed it. I thought it's broadened my perspective on Scituate as a whole and made me really appreciate you guys. So, and I'm proud to say that I've been to Scituate. So.
Wow.
I know you guys.
There you go. You achieved your mission.
Awesome.
And I'm sure a lot of people could say this.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Anna.
That's
Thank
great.
you guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Any minutes? We have a little something.
I know,
Yeah,
thank you
something
guys
for
so
you.
much.
Take that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could pass it to Luke. if you
Perfect.
guys-
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
We do have one more meeting, which you're welcome to attend, but
Yeah.
not under pressure because it is after graduation. So I wanted to recognize you today
Thank you.
in anticipation of that. Happy to have you, but do not feel obligated. You won't have much to report, I suppose. That's right.
We'll see your graduation though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
exactly. All right. Any report for us tonight?
Yes,
I know we
already.
have.
No, so we are closing up the school year for seniors, and I know everyone else is getting in the groove for finals, which I can't believe. But so we'll start with athletics. Noelle Brighton and Cole Lavins are the Scituate High School 2026 Scholar Athletic Award winners. In the fall this year, Nicole will attend Harvard and Cole will attend the University of Southern California. Both amazing accomplishments and great people, better athletes, people, everything. And Fiona O'Dowd has been selected to the MIAA Student Advisory Committee. And then tonight is the Big Will game, which is in memorial of Will Robinson. And it's the game between the Scituate varsity boys and girls lacrosse teams, which is what this shirt is. I thought I would rep it. And so that's exciting. I know they have food trucks. It's a really great event, and I'll be going after. So, and then as we acknowledged last meeting, the American Legion contest winners were Maeve Lynch, Michaela Whitaker, and Macy Murrow. The Scituate DECA students, Will Hine, Quinn Flanagan, Kate Carson, and Maddie Sauter competed in the DECA in the DECA competition, and Kate Carson and Maddie Sauter earned the National Gold Certificate for retailing operations for the Scituate High School store at the Shipyard. Will Hine earned a Silver Achievement Award for a top score in automotive marketing case study representation. I don't know. And then Quinn Flanagan was the first ever Scituate High School student to reach the ICDC level with a written business plan project. Also, AP exams ended last week, finally.
It was a long 2 weeks.
It really was. But I know that's very exciting, and with that in AP classes, final projects are underway. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the math MCAS will begin for our sophomores. And then the prom happened on Friday, which was super fun. I've heard all good things from the juniors and seniors who went. And then, yeah, our last day is on Wednesday. So hard to believe. And graduation May 29th, if it's not on your calendar.
Got it.
So yes, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game.
Thank
and
you.
everything else. All right, so thank you. We now have our approval of minutes here, some action items to attend to. Approval of minutes from May 4th. I wasn't present, so I'll be abstaining from this vote.
I'll make a motion that the school committee vote to approve the minutes of May 4th, 2026.
Second.
Okay. Fenwick,
Yes.
Burkowski,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
and Blum.
Yes.
Brandolini abstains. All right, great. Okay, next up, we have our superintendent candidate profile discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Burkowski to present.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And congrats, Peter. Sorry I can't be there to celebrate with you.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna share screen in a minute, but just to let folks know, so tonight we are, if you remember, we had a presentation our last meeting around the superintendent profile. We did all those interviews, and our consultant collected the data and put a summary together. And so what we're doing tonight is we're looking at that. I'm going to give a summary of the profile with some definitions, so we have some working language around it. And then I'll talk about the process that we use to start using that profile. Go ahead and share screen. All right, can you see my screen okay? Somebody give me a thumbs up,
Yes.
maybe? Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so as I said, we reviewed the profile that was submitted by our consultant. I created a Google Doc that had a table, I'll show you in a minute, that incorporated the 7 categories that really emerged out of the data from all the interviews. And then I created subsequent columns, one for strength, one for areas of growth, and there was actually a comments column or notes column, but no one really used that. And then just to have a thought partner and to stay within open meeting laws, I shared it with Vice Chair Fenwick. She reviewed the draft, offered some edits, and then Maria emailed the shared document to the school committee, and each of us individually downloaded a blank copy of that. So it's like our template. And we independently completed the assessment using Chair Brandolini sent out Superintendent Rob's CV, and then just based on our own experience and working with Dr. Rob, we did the evaluation. So tonight, what I did then is everybody's independent comments, I brought them together and put them in a summary document, and then what I'm showing you tonight is a little bit higher level. It's still kind of detailed, so I apologize. It's more information than I like to put in slides, but I think it's important. So it's a higher level slide presentation, really with school committee feedback and assessment, an informal assessment of Dr. Rob in his interim year. I'm using the word informal because this isn't like a DESE template like we have at the end of the year. This really is based on this new profile that we've just received. So it's more of an informal. And of course, we're using this to inform and guide our discussion that we'll have tonight, which is around what's our next step in terms of a search, right? And search or no search. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share the results, and then we can talk about it. So just again, so everybody's on the same page, I just wanted to review the categories. I know the consultant talked about this, but just so everybody's clear, there were 7. Communications and collaboration were the first 2. There's some definitions. It's what you would think, and it's really what came out of these interviews. So these are not definitions I made up. This is data. In qualitative research, we call it in vivo coding, which is literally pulling up what someone said and using that as the working definition. So there's a little bit of that in here. So approachable, clear and transparent, provides feedback, communicates beyond emails. Collaboration, working with others, patient, thoughtful, involving people in decisions, holding office hours, building coalitions. So those are the first 2. Curriculum, as you would expect, budget and finance expertise. So curriculum, understanding evidence-based instructions, being that instructional leader, able to evaluate what's happening in the classroom, understand special education, framework for data-informed goal setting. Budget and finance, fiscal responsibility. There was a lot of comments around keeping kids first when you're thinking about The budget really knows finance and the skills that are and has the skills required, demonstrates what someone called budget discipline, and advocates for funding, especially in tight times, which will be really relevant as we continue this year and next year. Three others, confident and strategic leader. Initially, I believe these were separate and then they were collapsed. So this is the idea of this shared vision. Visibility came up again here. Unafraid to speak up, right? Really standing up for the town and our kids, spends time in the classroom, sets a goal, but it also accomplishes those goals. Again, keeps students, schools at the forefront. And emotional intelligence and self-awareness also came up. Technical expertise was around things like classroom experience, although the data was mixed around whether or not that was a necessity. Keeping abreast of things like technology, AI, screen time, social emotional learning, having principal experiences was really a must. Committed to equity and special education, knowledge, and understanding came up across multiple categories. And then operations, really sort of that, it's the big picture, right? It's not just instructional leadership and staff and budget, it's facilities, it's athletics, it's maintenance, it's bus transportation and schedules. Under that were two kind of sub-themes around trust and conflict, and acknowledges and manages emotions. Particularly for us, it was around redistricting, but clearly as we move forward, it might be around other conflict or questions that come up. Okay, so we have 7 categories. Are there any questions there before I get into the data from the committee?
No questions.
No? Okay, perfect. And again, these are not, I just want to be clear, these are not my definitions. These are things that came out of the data from all the folks that were interviewed in town. One thing I want to note as I go into the data is that there is overlap, especially in collaboration and communication. So it is a distinct category, but you may also see some data that flows into other places for obvious reasons. The other thing I wanted to note is that for the last 2 categories, so education and operations, what we noticed in the data is there were some sub-themes that really emerged multiple times. So you'll notice there's a little bit more data for those 2 categories because we wanted to make sure we hit on those parts of it. So just in case you're wondering. All right. So communication. So again, this is the school committee. I tried to mush all the data and the summary together. It's the evaluation in brief. Tom really is doing a good job with communication, recognized as thoughtful and transparent, highly effective, prioritizing his relationships, stakeholders, and students, listening, taking in feedback, operationalizing that feedback, integrating and or listening to viewpoints in meetings and discussions, sort of related to that last point. He's really making sure all voices are heard, asking questions, asking follow-up questions to make sure, and making space. I know there were some examples, some sort of deep dive examples where making space for voices who aren't in the room, which I also think is important that he's seeing that. Explaining the why of decisions, so not just the ability to make the decision, but also provide a rationale. Communication with families, again, understanding the what and the why behind decisions. Approachable, and this was shown through things like office hours, being visible at all sorts of things from school councils to PTO to public meetings to athletic events, all sorts of things. Responsiveness across multiple communication platforms, and the ability to balance this firmness with empathy and kindness. And I'm going to just keep going unless someone says they have a question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Collaboration, again, visible, present, approachable, including family and staff, participates in a lot of different things that are going on in the district around hiring, strong relationships with town leadership. So when you think about our town administrator, our financial office, and the select board, redistricting, he's led joint labor management, staffing, planning, balancing the needs of teachers. So it's been, in multiple spaces and multiple places in terms of demonstrating collaboration. He was involved. Tom was recently, Tom, by the way, it's weird talking about you when you're in the room. I apologize.
Thank you
Our
for
interim
acknowledging.
superintendent has played a key leadership role in all 6 union contracts. And some of the, again, sort of deep dive data was really giving some examples of where that was really effective in terms of advocacy, listening, being an ally, and a consensus builder. Again, so you can see the overlap, understanding different perspectives, really working towards compromises with multiple stakeholders, and really spearheading. This was a different one. This collaborative training for the school improvement plan. So was it last school meeting or the meeting before? I've lost track. It was the last 2 meetings actually. Just seeing how the process of SIPs is going now, and I could feel and see evidence of that collaboration with our building leaders across all the buildings, which is great. Yeah, and just again, also as a school committee member, I think there were comments where each of us has felt like Superintendent Rabb has been a good collaborator. In terms of, I want to make sure because there was that column of areas of growth for both communication and collaboration. There were really 2 themes that popped up in terms of comments. One was communication and collaboration. It's not a discrete thing that you reach. It's just a continuous, evolving experience. And so the acknowledgement that, we would want to see an evolution and strengthening of communication and collaboration, continuous improvement. And the school committee, most folks noted how critical both of these are. And so really making sure taking in the feedback. Interestingly, in the feedback in communications, there was a note about how even though communication was part of this current strategic plan, we should think about continuing and building it out more specifically in future strategic plans. So just to make that point. Curriculum. So in terms of curriculum, obviously importance of curriculum reviews and changes, working collaboratively with our assistant superintendent, that we're not just talking about updating instructional materials, but really the implementation, the work that's being done to support our teachers, all that good work that's happening. Data informed evaluation, attending the leadership trainings. Tom also leads staff meetings, working groups, subcommittees, and some of the communications that go out are quite interesting, pulling research, curriculum or instructional research, which has been really, really amazing too. Tom is fluent in educational data and the data cycle. Vast improvement. I can speak to that for our district to have a leader who has this ability and has already served us well this year, as evidenced by the goals, as we mentioned in the SIP. Budget and finance, I mean, honestly, Dr. Rabb, we kind of feel like you knocked this one out of the park. I mean, this really is one of your expertise. So strong and comprehensive understanding of school finance and budgeting generally, but also specifically in your previous role, you really know Scituate as well. So being our director of finance, and you've done a great job. I remember when you came in and started reorganizing things and just making it just clearer, bringing clarity and some of the notes that helped us understand it, help us better explain it to the town and at a town meeting. Also, again, here again, you see collaboration overlaps in budgeting. So what's also critical to the finance is having those relationships with town officials, including the finance office. Tom speaks the language of schools, and you're able to translate educational needs into responsive practical budget decisions. I can speak as a school committee member. I feel like, your ability to translate sort of what our priorities are into a budget line has been really helpful for us, I think, as a school committee. And thankfully, your budget presentations are always clear, not too long, and easy to follow. So we've always appreciated that as well. In terms of confident and strategic leader, again, your enthusiasm, your energy, your confidence, your knowledge across multiple areas that I've already discussed were really prevalent in the data that I was looking at. You have a strong foundation in educational leadership from being in Scituate, but also your past experiences. You've come through some challenges around, leadership transitions, redistricting, and really done a good job in terms of just leading that charge and leading those conversations, communicating decisions with clarity. yeah, I mean, again, the 6 improvement plans, leading the transition of the DEI work and the social emotional learning and the C director, and actively participating in professional development alongside the school and the district leaders, really building that shared understanding, which is really, I think the school committee believes is an important part of being a strategic leader. A couple of comments that came up in this category in terms of growth is I think there's a real desire to think about how to expand that shared vision. And I think what's meant by that is this idea of really unifying the town, our families, our caregivers, our staff around this shared vision, and also being able to articulate and carry out clear and concrete steps around that shared vision. So just things to think about moving forward. In terms of educational and technical expertise, so there were some comments around your humility and willingness to admit when you don't know the answer and being able to, again, gather perspectives, to collaborate with others who may have the information, and being willing to sort of step back and surround yourself with other leaders and staff who do have that critical knowledge. And so really figuring out how to make everybody work well together. We've talked about attending professional developments. There were some in the data from the needs assessment, there were some questions around classroom experience or not. Most of the data said that folks didn't feel like it was a necessity. And I think that's where the school committee landed. And it was mostly because you've had experience as a guidance counselor, you've had experience as a principal, and there's some evidence that you're continuing to work on, this part of your portfolio with some of the professional learnings that have been involved in this past year. And all these roles come with supervisory and management experience, which, any superintendent needs. I want to make sure, let's see. Yep, I just want to make sure I'm getting that. So this is one of those categories that I mentioned where in this case, under educational and technical expertise, 3 sub-themes emerged. There's a lot of care and interest, rightly so, around special education knowledge. We value equity, and then we wanted to raise our awareness and attention around AI and technology. We know that districts have lots of questions around AI. So the comments around SPED were that, there was a sense that Tom's tenure as a counselor, his continued support of grants and investment is a strength in terms of SPED. He understands IEPs and special education, having served as a principal and as a business manager and working with Dr. Bobert, really understanding the costs and the needs of our students in our district in that area. In terms of equity, again, each of the school improvement plans are focusing on MTSS goals. Tom being front and center in the leadership around the C position and bringing that to our district, expanding SEL. We just had an equity audit for athletics, which I think we'll eventually discuss. And then again mentioning the transition from the DEI to the C director. In terms of AI and technology, I think this was the comments around AI were mostly, this is something that all districts are sort of grappling with right now. And so I think the comments from the school committee was, one, the expectation isn't that the superintendent could be the technology or AI expert. Like no district would ever require that of a superintendent. And it is incumbent upon our leader to be knowledgeable, to be bringing in professional learning, to be asking good questions. And so it was really more of a, hey, we need to be paying attention to this and making sure we're doing things ahead of problems and issues around AI. And we do have a strong tech team in place. And so I think we're on the right track there. So the last one is operations. I think the comments were, again, super positive. Speaking in public puts people at ease. Tom, you're often described as being very even-keeled, empathetic, and calm, can see multiple sides of things. I think with your finance background, your budget, your principal background, you just seem to know every nook and cranny of public school, according to the school committee feedback. Instrumental in, again, transitional times, being heavily involved in the redistricting plan for our new school, managing very well the day-to-day operations of our district. Again, it keeps coming up, factual, clear, best interest of students in mind, knows how to engage outside independent and impartial parties to resolve conflicts and manage situations, and just a long history of involvement in lots of operational aspects of schools, from scheduling to construction to food services to buses, you name it. I feel like Tom's dabbled in that at some point. And then, as I said before, the last piece is just operations. Surface two sort of sub themes was around conflict management and trust. And conflict management, the data was clear that Tom does not shy away from difficult conversations. He's added office hours and really put himself front and center to talk to folks who agree or not with him. He's been super steady again. There it is again, Tom, even keel, during redistricting, the questions around the different maps, the school naming process, and just really being able to manage that. And trust, again, the growth part of trust was just like communication and collaboration. It's not a discrete thing. It's something that you keep adding to. And so some of the comments were around just continuing to build on the trust that you've gained. And then also recognizing that there are places because of circumstances where rebuilding and repair is going to be necessary. And so just bringing some awareness to that. But again, trust can't happen overnight. It is it takes a long-term commitment. And I think your time with us as the director of finance and now as our interim superintendent, you've started to build up some of that trust. I think that is it. Sorry, it was so long. Promise I tried to condense it.
No, that was great. I can only speak for my 1/5 contribution, but you summarized everything that I had contributed very well. So,
Good.
anyone else have any comments, feedback?
No, thank you for all that work.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a lot.
thank you.
It was
Thank you.
helpful.
Really helpful.
So now we let's
Yeah.
talk about it, yeah?
Yeah, okay. The summary and
Yeah.
Do you want me to stay while you deliberate? I don't want to step away. I can stay.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's recorded. It's not like.
Well, we'll listen later. So you have the freedom to talk.
All right, so given all this data and information, I'd like to put it out there to the committee and see what everyone's thoughts are here. Steps.
I mean, I think one of the reasons my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is the reason we hired the consultant feels like multiple fold, right? We talked about shoring up the contract that we would write with the next superintendent, but also really getting a beat on what we think as a committee, what families, what the staff, what the town thinks we need as a district for a superintendent. And so by doing this exercise, it seems to me we're trying to understand, do we need to open a search or do we have a person in this role who fits the criteria in ways that are important, right? That we wouldn't necessarily need to spend the money and time and resources on a search. Am I wrong? And is that right, Nicole?
No,
Is
I
that-
think
That's
that's spot on.
exactly right.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
I think we
Okay.
do it a lot as in terms of like we have to think about it, I think, in terms of a risk benefit analysis. Like
Yeah.
there would be risks and benefits to running a search and there would be risks and benefits to not. And so I think we have to kind of analyze both of those categories for both of those options. And so that's kind of how I've been framing it to myself. You know, the risks of bringing in someone new, obviously tons of unknowns. Hiring is very hard. It's expensive. It's time consuming. It's so hard. Like having been on
It's a
committees,
lot. It's a
like
lot.
you just sometimes it's just you're getting a very tiny snippet of who they really are. You know?
Yeah.
The benefit, maybe we find someone great. So like that's kind of how that part lives in my mind. And then I think this document really helped to crystallize for me, once I can see what you guys all thought too, the risks and benefits of keeping Tom as interim. And I see quite a lot of benefit. I think that was clear from the report. I need to restate it. But I think some of the ones that are really important to me that I think are irreplaceable in someone new are the idea of looking to build trust over the next few years and how that's not built overnight and that we've already started that process here. We've been through a lot of change and sometimes this is an element that we could hold steady. And so that to me is like a kind of a benefit that's a little different than the others, you know?
Holds a lot of value.
Yeah, and then obviously there's the hard skills, the soft skills that you already went through. And I frankly don't see a lot of risk. Thank you.
Right.
Tom.
No, I think it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah,
Why go through a whole search and spend money when we have somebody who's fits the bill?
yeah. I mean, I think my kind of reflection was twofold. It was holding those focus groups and to hear from at least the group that we spoke with how the qualities that they were looking for equal Tom, right? Everything they said, just like what Carrie reviewed, everyone was saying what they wanted in a candidate or in a superintendent, and we're like, well, we already have Tom. He kind of fits that bill. And then for all of us to agree on that and have Carrie report on that, I mean, I think that Tom is the ideal candidate for Scituate right now. And I agree with Maria. I think trust is probably one of the biggest characteristics, and it takes time to do that. And Tom's really had 2 years, right? He's business manager, and he's been the interim superintendent. So he's already, I don't know how many, not a specific time, but he's already has 2 years of building trust with the community and the district and all. And I would think that we should absolutely hire Tom.
Yeah, I think it's challenging to have trust during times of such volatility and transition, and whether it's budget or building a new school and redistricting and staff changes, any of these categories. And I agree with everything everyone's already given us
And I
input.
feel like trust is number one, because if you have that, then everything else falls into place.
I think it's trust too. I do think he brings a ton of expertise, like to be able to combine the finance piece, the being the interim superintendent, the principal piece, right? That's a pretty amazing sort of set of skills that we're going to need going into tight fiscal times. The other thing I would say, like, because Maria, I know you were saying if we open a search, you know, we find somebody good. So like, even if we found someone as good as Tom, you would take the known over the unknown, right? You wouldn't want that uncertainty. And I like you, Maria, have been thinking a lot about this. And the economist in me is like, at the margin, what would have to be the benefit of an external candidate to outweigh the benefits of everything I know about Tom? And I couldn't think of anything. Like, I just can't think of anything that would be so good that I would give up the amazing skills and talent that Tom brings, plus all the intangibles that you all are talking about. I just can't make that math work for me. So
Yeah, that's where I landed too, Carrie.
Right. If I was an external candidate, theoretically, Tom would be a candidate. Then apply against him, who already has the experience in our district and meets the criteria set by the school committee as well as all of our stakeholders.
Right. And Carrie, I know you mentioned a couple. Were there any kind of needs improvement types of thing? I know you had a few mentions, but I know we had the opportunity to do that. And as I was completing that survey or the evaluation, I couldn't come up with anything of this is where we need Tom to improve.
I mean, there really weren't any he needs to do X, Y, or Z. You know, there was some reflection on, well, he doesn't have the classroom experience, but then the person who wrote that would say, but he's been a principal, he's been a counselor, he's been doing professional learning, right? The only place where, if we said he had any, I don't even like to use the word deficit or gap because I don't like those words, but it comes down, it's like the AI technology piece, right? Because it's what I said. I don't think our expectations should be that a superintendent is, well versed in all of that. So there really weren't any big flags, Peter, from anybody. I mean, it was more about what you're saying, which is continuous. These aren't discrete. Some of these aren't discrete, right? They don't end, they continue. So
yeah, I think I put something in the AI one. I said everyone I know literally on this planet is a learner. So I wouldn't put anyone as an expert in that category. And then for communications, this is an ongoing effort. That will never stop. We will always have things to communicate about, people to communicate to them too. We'll have new families coming in. That will never end. And so that's an area of just continuous growth and refinement. Plus, I imagine this year we have a new website, we have a new tool. I think we've done really well with those, considering they were both new at the same time in the middle of also a billion other new things.
Right.
So next year, like, will be a great opportunity to have those things not be new,
Yeah.
you know, for the first time. And like, so like, of course, there's a million ways we could get better at doing those, and that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But I think comms is like in that column, just like it's constant. There's going to be constantly new tools and ways to get better. And like,
Yeah, I think
never
related.
rest on your laurels there.
Yeah, I was going to say related to that, Maria, I think you may have said something and a few other people. I think that if Tom becomes a superintendent, really thinking about what his vision for the district is, because, the things, if you remember the strategic plan, some of the things that are on there were like building the new school, getting
Right.
better
Yeah,
at
we're getting out of
communication. So like he's really going to have an opportunity to articulate what is his vision and what is our vision, right, moving forward. So that was the other comment in the sort of growth area.
I think it would have been like, we wouldn't want an interim person to have done that this year.
No.
It would have been, you know,
Right.
so
No,
like,
not at all.
Yeah.
once the dust, like, that's another example of something where if we can just sort of allow the dust to settle on a few things, we can bring our focus to those other things.
Yeah.
You know, that's steps. Yeah. This has been a year of a bit of upheaval.
All right, let's hire Tom.
So in terms of
process, I just wanted to add Anna to the discussion if you
Yeah,
want.
if you wanted.
No pressure. You did a lot of work too with students. and-
Yeah, I was gonna say, like when asking students generally about a superintendent, like I had never personally related it back to Dr. Rob, but they did so naturally, and it was honestly the only time they referred to another superintendent. They didn't refer to any of the prior ones, but it was all good, like all positives, all like we need a superintendent that could do this, how Tom does it. So it was all like good things, like with the one exception of like that snow day who didn't call out.
We'll never let that one
Never
down.
But no, honestly, I didn't take it to heart. It was all really exceptional things and the trust. And I know they brought it back to the renaming because it was all throughout the high school it was talk, but how that they said he handled it very well, and they continue to trust him to do so and could only build that trust. But yeah, it was always related back to him how he did.
Great. Thank you, that's helpful too. Thank you. Thank you for your work on the needs assessment too.
Yes. I was going to ask a process question. Would we ask Tom for a formal like letter of intent or interest or
Yeah.
something?
I think that's our next step. I'll talk to him about that, and then at our next meeting,
And then we would vote
Yeah.
after that.
we can vote. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Burkowski, for all of that legwork and all of that.
Helpful to see that.
Very helpful.
Does that serve as the formal evaluation?
No.
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 No,
No, it does not.
it's actually.
I mean, we
great
can probably
document to
use
have.
some of it. I mean, we can
Yeah.
probably use
Oh,
some of it.
Yeah. But it could serve as, should Tom take the role, that it's got some great nuggets in there of
Yeah.
kind of what everyone's been saying about next steps and what the needs of the district are and what
Yeah.
people have, provided as their top concerns and or needs and things like that. So it gives a little bit of direction and guidance in that respect. All right. We can
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Do you want any more comments? Are you good?
I think we're good for this portion. If you want to
I just,
email us.
I have years of experience with two very long-term superintendents. The town I live in and the vocational school that serves our town. And I have worked with 4 other superintendents, most of them new in the position. If I had to, put him on that scale, he's here. He's not down here. Just thought I'd add that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And we have gotten a lot of emails.
Yes.
and Positive.
We have gotten many
Unprompted.
positive, emails of support. Thank you. All right. You're up, Dr. Rob
Thank you
here.
very much, Madam Chair.
Not a smooth transition. We have the report of our interim superintendent, Dr. Rob, some non-union contracts.
Thank you very much. So this is the time of year when we look at the contracts that are expiring in June of 2026. And these 7 contracts are all, nobody new in this list, everybody who's currently with us and renewing. So our assistant principal at the high school, Lisa Kirk, our elementary principal, Christine Sheehan. And this is a 3-year renewal, which will bring her into the new school. So just to make it clear that she'll be the principal of the new elementary school. Our assistant principal, Jill Smith at Gates, our assistant facilities director, Chris Cataldo, our assistant athletic director and trainer, Chris Alves, our technical director for performing arts and innovation, Josh Heath. He has been doing a great job with Pac Tech, and so we're actually making him full-time with this contract. And our music accompanist, Sarah Troxler, who, if you saw Thursday night, played about 55 different songs at every single level. So I would ask the committee for a vote to approve these 7 contracts as presented.
Great, thank you. All right, take a motion on these contracts.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the 7 non-union contracts as presented.
Second.
Dennis, second by Peter Gates. Roll call vote, Borkowski,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Benwick, yes, Lindblom,
Yes.
Brandolini, yes.
Thank you very much. And we also have a little bit of a reorg in our central office. So Joanne Anderson in our central office is retiring this year, and we'll have some wonderful things to say about her on June 15th when we acknowledge all the retirees. But it presents an opportunity with the new C director on board to change some job descriptions. So this is an FTE neutral recommendation. There's no additional staff. It's just a matter of changing some of the jobs. And so to replace Joanne's position with a human resources, HR support, and support engagement and advocacy C coordinator to help with the new C director as well as HR functions. And then my executive assistant, Sarah Thurling, to help out both myself and Mr. Lynch as well as the school committee. And so we've all worked together over the last couple of months to redo these 2 job descriptions. And I would ask your support so that we can post the human resources support role. Sarah will continue in her role with a different job description. But we do need to post that new position as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you very much. We want to make a motion on those contracts?
I'll make a motion.
Or you, Janet?
I'll make a motion that the school committee vote to approve the non-union job descriptions as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gates. Roll call vote, Borkowski,
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Benwick.
Yes.
Lindblom.
Yes.
Brandolini, yes. Okay. Right, up next, we have our new school redistricting plan.
Thank you very much. So I don't think it's a surprise. I'm recommending option 3 for all the reasons that were articulated very well on April 27th. And I really do think after a lot of deliberation, and it's why we do what we do. We had 3 public meetings, we had all the discussions about it, we took a lot of community feedback. And I will tell you, when we started this process in December, this wasn't necessarily the result that any of us thought were going to happen. So it's an iterative process. We listen to the community, and I think option 3 makes a whole lot of sense. And I have been taking some phone calls. We've had a couple of parents, with the oldest being in kindergarten, who are currently at Cushing but know they'll be going to Wampatuck. We had that discussion. And, 4 parents reached out, and I explained to them, we wouldn't be able to provide transportation, but I would allow them to go to Wampatuck and start, since it's their oldest in kindergarten. 2 out of the 4 took me up on it. The other 2 said, hey, for their personal situation, it's best they stay at Cushing. Those are the kinds of discussions I enjoy having. They're specific, they're about that family, the needs of that family. And then subsequent to this vote, I'll be reaching out to the class of 35, as I said, and we'll be talking to them as well.
Okay. Class of 35.
Yeah, appreciate that. 3rd grade currently.
Time marches on. All right, thank you.
We do need to vote on option 3.
I will make a motion that the school committee vote to approve the redistricting plan option 3 as presented.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gates. Roll call vote here again. Borkowski,
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Fenwick,
Yes.
Lindblom,
Yes.
Brandolini, yes. 5-0.
That's pretty
Option
good.
3.
Yeah.
And again, thanks to the committee for all the hard work. This is the toughest things that we do as redistricting and working with families, and we work really hard together.
Yeah, appreciate.
I would say also a thank you
Okay.
to the IPT,
Yes.
especially the elementary principals. I think they all approached those conversations with such thoughtfulness and care, and I just have no doubt that wherever people's families and kids land, that they are going to be very well taken care of, and those principals will, be so thoughtful, and that came across too when they presented their SIPs. So it's gonna be okay.
100%. Thank you for saying that. So also in front of you is a beautifully written memo about the school naming process, which I cannot find. So if you have one,
We have one.
Oh, that's,
Yeah, we have.
thank you. Okay, thank you. I was gonna wait, but I'll read it. So at the meeting on the 27th, the committee asked me to take a look at the naming process, kind of reflect on what had been done, and make some recommendations moving forward. The first thing I did is I reached out to our architects and I said, what is the deadline when you need this information? Because there are decisions that they're making about literally the number of letters to buy and all of those kinds of things. And they told me, as long as you have it done by Columbus Day weekend, they can manage. So end of September, Columbus Day weekend at the latest. They would appreciate it sooner, clearly, if we can do it sooner. But end of September, at the very latest Columbus Day weekend, because they do need to order things in a timely way to make sure that whatever combination of letters we choose, they can do that. So that was the first conversation. So it actually bought us a little bit of time, and we can think about how we want to take the next 3 months. So my recommendation is that by June 12th, so about a month from now, before our final meeting. So June 12th is simply because our final meeting is Monday, June 15th for this year. So by that Friday before, what I'll do is reconvene the working group. So we'll get together the working group, we'll have a public meeting posted, we'll meet probably here, and we'll talk about, do you want to remain on the committee? I want to talk to everybody who's currently on the 3 choices that we have right now on the table. But given the feedback that we've heard from the community, I think it makes a little sense to talk about what are the criteria moving forward. If we're going to ask the committee to think about additional names, whatever they might be, what is some of the criteria? And I think what I'm suggesting is to honor the current agreements with the names, honor the 3 names that are out there. An awful lot of work went into getting there. Talk a little bit about pronounceability. We talked a little bit about what does that mean. Elementary students have to say the name of the school, parents have to say the name of the school. What does that mean day to day when you're referring to it? Honor the student research that's been done. We came up with some names, but there were other names that the students told us about that we can go back into that research and we can figure out what other names are there that we can consider. And then we also want to make sure there's an educational value to the choice. There's a connection to Scituate. There has to be a connection to Scituate and verifiable history. Some of the concerns that we heard with some of the other names that were rejected were, you couldn't necessarily verify that person existed, or maybe it was more folklore than it was reality, in fact. And when you're doing something like this, while folklore is great and the stories are awesome, we would certainly want to name the school after somebody who had a verifiable history. And then to talk seriously about Cushing and Hathaway. That's not currently on the table. The expectation is that it's going to be a new name. I've spoken at length to Mrs. Sheehan, and she feels strongly that we have a new school with a new culture, and we're not trying to merge necessarily 2 cultures. We're going to create a new one. And what does that mean? And a new name allows for a new culture, and so there's a piece of that as well. So at the end of the day, after having that meeting, I would probably open the membership up to 2 additional members from the community. Let's see how many people want to remain. If we have a lot of people who don't want to remain on the working group, then I may not add, we might just replace. But if everybody wants to stay, then we may add 2 members just to widen the voice. Put it out to the community, we can see who's interested, and then do a process where we just choose 2 people among those people. And then perhaps what I'd ask the school committee is to authorize the working group to perhaps add 2 additional names to the list. So we're not expanding it to 15 or 20 names, but we may go from 3 to 5 to give the committee a bit of an expanded view. And we will have that discussion on June 15th, kind of where we're at. And then by September, meet a couple times over the summer. In the month of September, we would meet to discuss 2 additional names for consideration using our established criteria. I think that's important. Like, we'll get the criteria nailed down by June 15th, and then we'll spend the time from that to the end of September evaluating any new names against the criteria we've all agreed on. So I think that will allow some additional voices into the process, that will allow for everybody to understand what's happened, that will honor the work that's been done. And also let us wrap this up by the end of September, which we do need to do for the sake of the architect and the project itself. So it would have been a lot shorter if I couldn't found the memo.
I appreciate that thorough look at this. Anyone?
I did have a question. I was wondering if we can set out as an ask for the working group that some of the members of that group are tasked with presenting to the school committee, because I think part of where we went wrong last time was that we didn't have that sort of public presentation by members of the working group. And I think that helps for the broader community to see that this is people who have vested their time, personal time, in the process. We didn't have that last time, and I think that was one of the places where the process broke down a bit. So I just think perhaps in this initial ask, like this is what it means to be part of this go around, is we're asking you to do some of that public presenting, even if I just mean here, not, but
Right.
like, I just think that piece was missing last time, and it would have been nice to have, real people here sharing in their own voices, first person accounting of what the work had been and what their recommendations were. I just think that always strengthens processes like this.
Are we discussing criteria tonight or next meeting?
A little of both. Anything that you help me tonight will help me have that meeting with them, that first meeting, so.
I guess I had a couple of wonderings. The first, I just want to be clear, and I think I understand this, Dr. Rob. We're keeping the 3 names that were already there. You're just going to add. So there's no discussion of those 3 names being taken away.
No, my plan is to let the working group know that we want to continue with those 3 names, but add 2.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know about the rest of the committee. I have a real problem with pronounceability as criteria. Like, I think that if we find somebody who has a connection to Scituate, is a verifiable history, is important to Scituate, that we should think about our ability to learn how to pronounce names that maybe aren't as familiar. I mean, I can say as someone from Maryland, I had to learn how to say Worcester. I had to learn how to say Wampanoag and Wampatuck. And so Scituate. My family was like, you live where? And can you spell that? So I'm not saying it should be a hard pronunciation, but I think that it isn't a bad thing if we have to learn how to say something. So I don't want that to be like an exclusionary criteria. That's all I'm asking, Tom.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Carrie. I agree with you. I think this came across so much in the community survey that we did. So I think it's worth the working group having that conversation a little bit more and having a statement about it that says, like, listen, I don't care how many letters or how this, like, we talked about this and we decided that we're still, for this, we're behind this. And I think that's part of what, like, to me was kind of missing. And then in the survey, we got a lot of, as I'm sure you recall.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the names we shorten anyway. So like having that conversation, right? This is the formal name, but kids will probably call it Gates or they'll call it whatever. So the other thing I'm wondering about, Maria, I love your idea of having folks from the committee present to us. I'm wondering, Tom, if there's a way not to make it too long, but like if we get to 5 names, but there were a couple of others in the running, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have the committee say, compared to 6 and 7, this is how we got to 4 and 5, right? Just so there's some context and understanding for the thinking process there.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Carrie. That's important.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I agree on the pronunciation component too. I mean, it's kind of subjective.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think it's like worth like we thought about this.
Yeah.
We talked about this and here's where we, came down as a group. Like I think it's just like we got to acknowledge that,
Right, call it
In
out
and
a
of
little bit
itself, I
more.
won't reject it.
Right. And I think similarly on the Cushing Hatherley, I feel like last year when we initially convened this full working group to begin with, it was because we had already said we were not going to name it Cushing Hatherley because of the same reason that Mrs. Sheehan gave. It's the combining of, and at that time we didn't even have the redistricting done. So we didn't even, we were just really just clueless back then. But I think we had the same thought that, you know, at the Cushing School, they've got the Cushing Cats, and Hatherley has the Hornets, and they've got those, you know, kind of defined. They do a lot at those schools around those identities, but to bring together cats and hornets is not
That's a
going
bad
to work. Hornets, I've thought about it. There's not really a good way to do it, and so I think to come out and have again the working group go ahead, they can have that conversation. But to be able to publicly state again, very clearly and maybe even in writing, this is why we're not doing that. It's not that we dislike those names. It's not like that we dislike, you know, the cultures that these schools have built. We love them. But in fact, we want to really make space to build something new. And that's why we're not just going to call it Cushing Hatherley. We wouldn't have convened a working group if that would have been our answer way back a year ago.
But
So
it could be an option.
No, I don't think it is an
No.
option.
I think
That's, I think, what we're saying.
no, but the discussion has to be had of whether or not it should be one of the five.
We can talk about it. I think I'll make a compelling argument to not use it. I think we can memorialize the names of the two schools, memorialize so much next year. I mean, I guess the fourth goal of all the SIPs was all of that work around, the last year of both schools. Now we're opening a brand new school. And what that's going to mean. But yeah, I put it down here because I do want the committee to wrestle with it. I want the committee to talk about it. I want to understand it. Like you said, maybe something in writing, but commit also to memorializing the cultures of the two schools that we're closing.
Yeah.
And I really see it as we're closing two schools and opening a brand new one. And that has a certain kind of feel to it. But you had talked a couple of meetings ago about memorializing, the contributions. And so we can do that. And I know we can do that. And that'll be part of this.
Yeah, and the other naming options inside the building or around the building in terms of, again, I don't think it's I don't know if it will work, but like the ECC, whatever, one of the names you can use is that. I don't know.
There's plenty of options down the road, sure.
And I don't want to make things complicated, but perhaps that's something that can be at least discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the ECC, I mean, ECC, people don't know what the ECC is, but we can, I don't know. I'm like going Seaside Elementary, whatever it's called, or Seaside Preschool, whatever it is.
There might be
Something like that. But that is really a separate program. It really is. And this is a brand new building for that.
But it has been around a long time. It was at the high school. It's been at Wampatuck.
I know,
Anybody who is involved with ECC.
Yeah.
And those things can evolve over time too. A lot of times, as I've done other buildings in my career, you do the building, and then a couple of years later, somebody says, well, let's, the auditorium or the gym or the ECC or some other spot kind of makes sense in a moment, and that's an opportunity to do it.
Tom, if I'm sorry, go ahead.
So is it my understanding that because I know you and Maria have been involved with the presenting, but you weren't on the committee. So does it make sense for one or two of us to be on the committee? Because I'm throwing my hat.
Great.
Janice,
Janice.
Well, I was going to mention, I'm not going to be on the school committee.
You could be at one of those.
I could be one of
this
those.
would be one of your first community member opportunities.
Not great.
Really?
timing.
I thought
You didn't want to do this.
I didn't want to be on it. It's actually true.
And that way, there's a false sign.
Yes,
That'd be great.
I think that's
Right.
very
Report
helpful.
back.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tom, I was wondering if several of the folks who were on the original committee don't want to serve, how are you thinking about the selection of folks for the committee?
Right now, I was simply thinking of putting it out to the community and just seeing who might be interested. And then I don't want to, I'm wrestling with it. I haven't decided exactly. I don't want to say, well, we'll just pick it out of a hat because you might get, 2 or 3 people of the same constituency. I really want to broaden the constituency. It's been brought up in the past, should we have, the voice of the senior center, the voice of the veterans, the voice. So I want to see who is interested and then kind of use that as an opportunity to maybe sort things out.
Sorry, one more thing,
Sure.
sorry. We did have the representation from a historical society
Okay.
before, and I do think that's really important to continue. They were really helpful in obviously just being able to tell us,
course.
give us
Yes.
background information on, that was
Absolutely. That was helpful.
Well, thank you very much. So we'll put Janice on it by fiat.
All right. Next, our report of teaching and learning. We start here with
Thank you. I'd be happy to introduce Mr. Mike Lesniak. He's the Department Chair of World Language and English Learner Programming. He's going to start first, and then Mr. Jim Thomas will come up and present as well. So we're really excited to have two more presentations for our report of teaching and learning.
As Mr. Lynch gets the laptop set up, I just wanted to say thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Mike Lesniak. I'm the interim department chair for world languages and our multilingual learning population here in Scituate. I've been in this role for about 2 months now, so it has been a big learning curve, you could say. But coming from the classroom, I would say that my students tend to describe me as even-tempered with high expectations. And so those are things that I am hopefully going to bring into this role as well. So as far as our program updates for this year, our aim in general as a program is to instill a love of language and an appreciation for cultural diversity in our students, both in Scituate and as they move beyond. And the way that we're looking to do that is through our academics, our global citizenship program, and some experiential learning. So as far as academics are concerned, this year we had 13 graduating seniors, including Anna, graduating with the seal of biliteracy. I did put up a map in here because I did want to point out that Massachusetts is one of 13 states in the country that have the highest level of qualification in order to earn the seal of biliteracy. Students need to earn an intermediate high, which is a 6 or higher in all 4 domains. And the majority of states in the country require a 5 or higher. And so it is very exciting for our students when they are able to perform at these levels. We also had a total of 42 qualifying assessments this year for the seal of biliteracy, which is amazing. For our AP exam results in 2025, we had 2 Mandarin students take the exam. We had 5 French students and we had 13 Spanish students. And as you can see, they are relatively within the global averages, a little bit below, and Mandarin is a little bit tough to discern because we only have 2 students who are taking the test. So as we are looking at the AP Chinese language and culture scores, historically over the years, we've had 2 students, 3 students, 2 students, and so that is one of the focus areas. How do we continue to build and bring up this program and continue to have students taking more tests? For our French language and culture, as you can see, it's rising but relatively staying consistent as well. We have 1 student in 2023, we have 5 students in 2024, and another 5 in 2025. And again, they are right around that global average. And for our Spanish program, we had 10 students, 14 students, 13, so we are still in that relative same trajectory over the last 3 years. And again, we are right around the global averages as well. Some years a little bit higher, some years a little bit lower. Academic highlights. As department members, we were trained by Joshua Cabral, who is a podcast host. He is a national presenter. He is also a teacher in Massachusetts. He came to speak to us during the March Professional Development Day, and the focus was on planning and assessing in the proficiency-based classroom. So it's a shift in the Massachusetts World Language Standards, So he's helping us get up to speed. Like I said, we had 32 new students qualify for the Seal by Literacy this year. Over 550 students took the stamp exam, which is how we determine qualifications for the Seal by Literacy. And today we started with our 8th grade students at Gates, so we are able to get a little bit more data top to bottom in the program. We had increased participation in our dual enrollment partnership with Quincy College. I believe we are 6-fold what we were last year, which sounds super impressive, or the numbers are we have 12 students who are enrolled compared to 2 last year, but I prefer the 6-fold. And we had several students pass the access test, which is a qualification for English learners to move out of that English learner program. And while not everyone passed, others made significant progress. Some students increased almost as much as 2 levels on a scale of 1 to 6. So we are seeing great progress there. As far as our multilingual learners in district, you can see the year over year, we doubled from last year, but again, it's relatively consistent in that 10 to 15 student range. And broken down by school for this year, we have 2 to 4 multilingual learners in each school. So it is a relatively low population compared to district-wide, but it is very important to highlight the work that they are doing to make sure that our entire population is represented. In addition to academics, we have the global citizenship pathway. We have 11 students. Again, Ms. Anna is going to be one of the students graduating with a distinction of the global citizenship pathway. And in my short-term time on this job, one of the highlights so far has been reading through their essays and talking about what the program has helped them see and helped them learn. And so I wanted to pull out some of the highlights of the student experience. And we had students talking about how they were, I love this term, confronted with the reality that I had to use Spanish to talk. And so it was one of those things where we learn about everything in class and you learn it in such a contextualized nature that once the student was off on their own, they said, wait, I need to use this not just in these contexts, but I need to use this overall. And it just made me smile so much. Another student went to China and she was talking about how people can't hold one opinion for one country or any one people, and that even in the US, regional differences are everywhere, so why would you not transfer that same thinking when you're thinking about other countries? And another student who was working in a hospital was talking about how effective care requires understanding people and meeting them where they are. And so seeing these reflections out of 18-year-olds is invigorating and inspiring, and I don't really know how else to put it, but it's definitely something that I wanted to highlight today. And then through experiential learning as well, we have field trips. Our Mandarin program went into Quincy. They went grocery shopping and at a restaurant. They went to a restaurant as well. We had our 8th grade French program in Quebec this past weekend. They just got back. We have the Spanish exchange that went to Vitoria and Guecho in Spain. And we had the French exchange as well. And so what's next as we start to zipper up this year and I get to learn a little bit more and have a full year in front of me. As far as academics, we are getting into the first phase of our curricular review for next year. So I'm excited to look and see what we're doing from 6 to 12 and how can we continue to grow and improve. Looking to explore program retention from grade 11 to grade 12. We have a 2-year language requirement for graduation. Beyond that, we have around 83% of our juniors stay in the program. And then senior year, that drops down to around 40%. And I think one of the reasons is that we have so many wonderful classes that are available to seniors to take. So how do we make our offerings just as wonderful or more wonderful for them? And then also looking at researching elementary implementation models, because how do we continue to grow the program and have more students with more of these experiences earlier on. Travel, we are going to continue our relationship for exchange programs, and we are going to be heading back to Ireland for 2027, 2028. That is the current plan. And then for the citizenship part, we are looking to expand pathway access through local and regional partnerships and see what else is out there, again, to continue to grow and expand the program. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Any questions?
I have a couple. This is great. One question is the number of students taking the AP exams. How does that correlate to the number of students in the AP classes that are eligible to take the exams?
It is at least 50% or higher. I know Spanish, we had 18 out of 19. This year we had 15 students in here and a few in a different location. We had 4 French students out of 10, and I would like to say another 4 Mandarin students out of around 6 to 8. So the numbers are about 50% plus, and really I think the biggest focus is how do we grow those AP programs, not just the number of students taking the test.
Yeah, interesting. And the other, maybe I can ask Anne on this, is the, what do we call it, the pathway. So how did Anna, did you know that you qualified for that? Or did you just complete a certain number of courses and like, hey, you qualified?
So, okay, for most people, I feel like it's a it's a goal you work towards, but throughout my past 4 years, I've kind of just like tried to immerse myself in language, like not on this certain path.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually looking at another pathway that actually doesn't exist, but that's a topic for another day. But I was kind of just like talking about it with my friends who were working towards it, and they were saying, wait, you might. So I kind of just realized I happened to qualify for it, and a big portion of it was like my role in exchange programs. I did like hosted French exchange student. I did both ways of the Spanish exchange, and it is like certain AP requirements and stuff. Yeah, I kind of just happened to qualify. But
and when did you just find out, like this semester, last semester?
I want to say this semester, probably in March, maybe February. I don't know.
No, I'm just curious. I'm still trying to synthesize what the pathway does, I guess, or the purpose of the pathway. And I feel like we have several, but I guess my experience just anecdotally is asking students is like, did some of you work specifically towards, like freshman year, you knew you were going to take these classes to get to there. And that doesn't seem to be the case. It's not just with the global citizenship, but it's with any pathway. I was just curious kind of how that all plays out.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think we, this being the spring season, we have 2 DESE defined pathways, business and finance and environmental stewardship. And so those are supported with ICPs. I don't know if you saw the recent article about vocational education and like the twist of schools like ours to try to get more students involved in job preparation and industry experience, but those are DESE designated. Then we have some other pathways like the global citizenship, and you'll see one that is referenced in fine and performing arts as well. And so with all of these growing early stage pathways, we see the need to communicate more clearly to our community what these opportunities are and how students can attain them. So I think Anna's story is perfect, like especially since she's a senior and like over 4 years, these pathways have been introduced. So one thing that we're working on across all departments is perhaps like a one sheet that would say, here are the different pathways we offer. What's the difference between the DESE designated ones and these other ones? So absolutely, we're working on communicating. We have some models from Julie Ward's work with some other districts who are a little bit farther ahead than Scituate. We have some really good models for how to communicate that to kids. So definite next step. We're excited about it. And it is, helpful to have pathways that aren't necessarily designated, because some of our departments find opportunities that kids are passionate about and want to channel kids that way, or just provide them an experience for them to express what they're passionate about. So we're in the process of making that really clear.
Great, thank you.
Those one pagers would be really helpful just for parents and students, just to see see it laid out clearly. And to answer that question, Peter, because I think to your point, and you kind of touched on it too, this has been sort of under development, some of the pathways during, but if you're a student who's had tenure here during development, you might not have caught it as a freshman in the way that incoming freshmen will and could, so.
Did you think the other one existed and it didn't, or
Well,
was it?
I don't know if you guys actually know about it. It was like the biomedical pathway. So yeah, I was told about that because I was like my decision between taking AP Chem or not, because it was like the big like AP science classes were required for it. So it kind of pushed me to take that. Obviously, I'm grateful I took it either way, but that was going to be the pathway I worked towards. But honestly, I think finding out I qualified for this is just as rewarding as working for it in all 4 years. I think it's because this is another like extreme interest of mine. I think I'm going to carry it on to college as well, learning language.
Great answer.
And I don't think I would have done that without the programs we have in Scituate. I think the exchange programs, the Spanish classes I take, have definitely went their hand. So, yeah.
I do think that challenge you mentioned about when students get into that sort of upperclassmen, junior, senior course selection, it is really hard, especially with the offerings having been expanded in AP and advanced coursework, that it is hard to know, like to make those choices is really hard when you're trying to think about
that
next
is something
steps.
that we're working on, and so we have looked at the curriculum. We're implementing a new film class for next year that we're going to be writing over the summer, so hopefully that will help in retention. We're going to be looking at different options as well.
Yeah. I've heard students say they wish there was like even another period in the day, like they could pick another class and keep it. That's how interesting some of these classes are to them, which is great. But
I was wondering if the like criteria for kids to sort of like, one of the benefits of an AP class, right, is that if you get that 3, you might not have to take the entry level class in college. I was curious if for language, if colleges kind of see that differently than like a AP English that gets you out of English 101 or something. I was wondering if there's any difference there, if like colleges, or if a kid wants to like switch languages and they're like, well, I'm going to switch languages anyway, or I don't know. I'm trying to think a little bit more about why it's less, maybe like why they're less invested in taking the AP. I don't know if you've had any insight on that.
I think that is a wonderful question that I'm going to continue to rack my brain over the next few months to try and figure out, to get to some of the root causes about how do we continue the program.
I think I'm personally going through it right now with my
me too.
student who's going to be a senior next year, and as you indicated, there's just
So
seems
many
like senior they finally get to choose more of their classes.
Yeah.
Like they only have a couple of core classes they need to take, so they really get to experiment, I guess, with some other classes that pique their interest. And foreign language may not be their interest. They've been taking it since most kids in 6th grade, the same language. They're like, all right, I'm done, and I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah,
I think that I would assume that's probably what it is.
it's a catch-22 as an educator, because I want to build my program as much as possible, but I also want students to be able to explore their interests, and I don't want to shoehorn them into a class and have them miserable in there just because it builds our numbers.
Yeah.
I was curious, this might be one of the aspects of your rule that's newer, but the multilingual learner programming, I was just wondering if there's any like more detail that either you or maybe Ryan could give about that. I was just wondering, like, is there consistency in our district in terms of what is the home language for those students, or the types of programs and supports they receive? I think I'm probably outdated in my knowledge about this. Like, kids would take a test and they'd be designated as a former language learner. I don't know what that world looks like right now. I was just curious if either of you have any more detail. That might be really new to you.
So I am still learning about this process. What I've gathered so far is that yes, they still take the access test.
Okay.
And it's the 1 to 6 scale.
Okay. Yeah.
We have 2 EL teachers in district.
Yeah.
This year we had 1 teacher who was working at Gates in the high school and another who was at all 4 elementary schools.
Okay.
Next year, we're looking at ideally a little bit more of a split where we're gonna have each teacher at 3 different buildings.
Okay.
Again, not ideal. And so yes, there is consistency in the delivery just because again, we have the smaller numbers to support. So we do have that consistency. They work very well together. I don't know if that fully
Yeah,
answers
that's
your
helpful.
question.
I just wanted a little more detail there.
Yeah, we just, Mike and I wanted to shed a light on the work of
Yeah.
our elementary EL teacher and our secondary EL teacher. For those 17 students that you saw, we're required to test all those students in January and February, ensure they're making DESI progress. Their progress is also tracked, just like any selected population. We're excited when students attain that specific score to sort of progress from EL supports, and students can have different levels of support, like just being monitored, perhaps 1 block a week, perhaps several blocks, depending on how they score on
Pull
them.
out usually?
Sorry?
Pull out?
It can be, it's also participation in the certification. The teacher may need to have the certification to support, to be SEL endorsed. So there's a graduation of a bunch of different levels of support a student can qualify for.
Okay.
So we just wanted to shed a light on the work that our multilingual language staff do to support those the needs of those 17 students.
Do a lot of teachers attain their SEL certification? Sorry, that's
Many do now because it's a requirement of the professional license. So we have a good number. Yes.
it's a part of the professional license. Okay. Just curious. Thank you. It's been a minute since I thought about any of that.
There's so many contact minutes that we're required to provide based on their level. So
Yeah.
that's what informs the,
Okay.
the teaching. It's very individualized, we're only 17.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That's kind of tricky. Looking at the spread across all the schools, I was thinking like it's really spread out.
The numbers were surprisingly low,
Yeah.
I feel too, so it makes it hard. And aren't there requirements for some sort of staffing relative to English language learner? Some sort of requirements, minimum staffing or?
Well, that's what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we have
But it-
coordinated at the elementary.
yeah. It is tough to manage that. But I am surprised by the low number of English language learners in our district. I would have expected there to be more. That's great. Glad that we're able to support them.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I just want to thank Mike for his transition. Remember, he stepped in halfway through the year to take this role, including filling a position, a Spanish position at the high school, taking on a new class, teaching at the middle school, evaluating staff, running department meetings, preparing to hire more people.
I'm hiring my 3rd position right now in 2 months.
Yes, so we really appreciate your effort in the transition, Mike. Thank you
Yes,
very
thank
much.
you so much. Good job.
Next up is Jim Thomas, our Fine and Performing Arts Department Chair, coming off the success of Spring for the Arts. So Jim, welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak tonight to you. My voice is not in great shape, but it's, believe it or not, better than it was on Saturday. I had no voice. But I'm excited to share with you some of the exciting things going on in the Fine Arts Department. And I'll give you kind of a quick overview of what we're looking at. So just this past Thursday, we celebrated our 2026 Spring for the Arts, and it was a pretty incredible night. We'll get into that in just a second. We have a new pilot program of an all-town chorus program that we're going to introduce into 26-27, and that's sure to be exciting as well. We have some data that we're going to share with you regarding our retention rates with elementary band. And then we'll look at our visual arts pathway which ultimately the long goal is to have that grow into a unified fine arts pathway. And then finally, we'll finish up with program development. A notable one, a 0.6 drama position at the high school, which is really gratifying to me to see the middle school curriculum, which has been so successful, continue now through the high school. I'll give you some fun facts here with regard to our Spring for the Arts. We had 15 choruses performed, 5 bands, 3 jazz bands, artwork from students in grades 3 through 12 throughout our district, 2 drama club presentations, the use of the CPA and CPA lobby, the large gym, it's SHS, the art wing, the black box theater, the art maker space. In addition, we had 2 food trucks. And I have my best calculation in terms of the amount of people that showed up is anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000. So it was really successful.
It's incredible.
And I think it's really a testimony to the support that we received from the community regarding the Spring for the Arts and the arts in general. So, thank you. I think it's important. We've been working at the idea of looking at data to help inform some of the decisions that we make regarding, in this case, the band program, because it can reveal trends that are important to pay attention to and that can help us to serve our students better. The 6th grade, I drew attention to the 6th grade in particular because it posed unique challenges. I think for your typical 5th grader, going into 6th grade is a big transition. We all know that. And that comes through in the arts as well. Kids are concerned about this changing of classes. How will their new teacher in the 6th grade be different? I don't know all the students in the other buildings, things like that. And what we've done to try to address some of those issues is to try to have a grade 5, 6 step-up night that celebrates all the students in the band program in grade 5, brings them all together in one place at the middle school. They get to experience the facility, meet the new teacher, have some pizza, and who doesn't like pizza? And really do some team building and getting to know each other. We've found that has really helped our retention rates and our crossover rates for the articulation period from grade 5 to 6. In addition to that, we've used the data to help us with exit survey information in terms of learning from students that, despite our best efforts, don't continue with an instrument, to find out if there's trends that might support us doing something differently to meet the needs of students. We've put into place a protocol for addressing students' concerns so that there's a calibrated approach. There are many different music teachers that are teaching, but we want to have a unified or calibrated approach so that all students are experiencing the same process in trying to identify what maybe perhaps the root issue is. This is something I've been working on for a bit, a mentoring program. We have an unofficial one that we've been playing with. My goal is to formalize that program over the next year and really celebrate the idea of high school kids working with our middle school aged kids in a really quantifiable way. I think it's ripe for the picking because we have one big campus here, and I think student-to-student relationships can give us things that adult-to-student relationships can never get. And then a new collaboration that I ventured into with the recreation department was a summer band program. And I put this into place largely because I saw the summer as an opportunity to build momentum and skills at a time of year when there's, for some, less stuff going on. Or what it had been is a time to lose momentum. Everyone has good intentions, but the instruments sit in the corner for the entire summer, and then we spend a month and a half getting back to where we were in the spring. So we had a very successful summer. Kids enjoyed themselves. The teachers came together in different ways, and we put on a nice performance at the end of it. but most importantly, kids are gathering skills and concepts and entering the new year with more than they left. So that's an exciting development too. I'm excited to, I guess I keep it. I'm excited to talk about the elementary chorus. This is an idea that I've had for a while, and I'm happy to say that my music staff is totally on board and excited about this opportunity. Here's the idea. For students that are looking for an additional experience in chorus, they can opt into this program where they meet once a week with their fellow students from their building. And then once a month, all the students converge and do a rehearsal at one of the elementary schools, and that would rotate according to each month. It gives an opportunity for us to further build community, which I think is an important thing to do, of course, to investigate choral music at a deeper level and provide students, probably most importantly, with an opportunity that they don't currently have. So looking forward to that. And I think to further this could become a model for us to investigate the band program too. We could plot a similar course. The visual arts pathway pilot, we realized about 2/3 of the way through, after having some long conversations with Mr. Ranieri and others that have been on this course for a bit, that our students in our visual arts program are really satisfying many of the requirements for a visual arts pathway as it is. And this is an opportunity to be intentional, and I think that's the word I would use, intentional for students to think about how these different aspects of the pathways is coming together to help support them in hopes of a future career in education, graphic design, architecture, or some other artistic endeavor. And this might help you, Peter, in terms of like how it's defined and broken out. We see it this way. The required courses would be 8 credits in the studio realm and 8 credits in the portfolio range. There would be selective courses, and what I mean by that are courses that widen the lens slightly so that kids can experience other disciplines and still satisfy requirements in the visual arts pathway. There are extracurricular considerations, whether they're a part of art club, tech club, Spring for the Arts, where they have some special role that's meaningful and has to be time consuming, and requests from school districts from across the district to generate artwork, and that happens periodically. It's hard to legislate exactly what that looks like because it's different every year. And then finally, volunteer and internship opportunities and a portfolio experience. So the volunteer and internship experiences, what I like about them is it brings real world experience into their experience. And a capstone brings a summary to their experience. So this is pretty rigorous, and we find that kids should be recognized for their efforts. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, I'm excited about the potential for this .6 drama position at Scituate High School. I think it completes a curriculum cycle now that runs through 12th grade, potentially. It enhances the student's experience beyond the middle school. I think it's a great pairing, our drama club with the drama classwork. Kids can learn skills and concepts and apply them in the club if they wish. In terms of the execution of how we're going to roll this program out, there'll be an introduction to theater course. And the idea behind this is that it's got touch points in all aspects of the theater program, both production, tech, and acting. And then from there, students can decide to take a deeper dive into set design and production, or in the fall, acting 1, and in the spring, acting 2. And as I mentioned, you can apply these skills and concepts to our after-school drama club. So some exciting things coming our way, I think. Certainly open to any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lots going on in the
Yeah.
Fine Arts Department.
Yeah.
Really good to see. Questions, comments, and
No, right. I appreciate the retention, I guess the focus on retention.
me too.
Again, this is just through my personal experience, but I feel like it's important to maintain the program. I think that what you're doing, I think by adding the summer, will probably work to maintain some kids, and I think trying to figure out how to continue to make fine arts what it is in Scituate. I think it's always been very, very well respected, but I think it is important to figure out the numbers which you have and how to potentially increase those numbers, or maintain those numbers.
Yeah, it's been frankly tricky. We've tried the exit interview information, and that's helpful to a degree.
Yeah.
But it's so elusive because kids, for a variety of reasons, don't want to, tell you exactly what the issue is.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're left guessing what's going on here. But that combined with a protocol for addressing concerns, I think has helped. Because it gives us a much more thorough approach and consistent approach to really getting at whatever the root issue is, and hopefully retaining the student.
Yeah. No, I just like the fact that you're focusing on it. You stated that that's what you have done and will do. I think that's great. It's a great step.
What I didn't say about Spring for the Arts is I cannot tell you how proud I am of my staff and how hard they work. And we get sick. We work so hard.
That's true.
No, but I'm honestly,
Busy couple weeks.
I'm so proud of the crew and the work that they put in, and it really is a well-oiled machine. So kudos to everyone.
Spring for the Arts was fantastic this year, as always. So much fun.
Thank you.
Kids enjoyed it, and I mean, it was. I believe those numbers are. I mean, it was mocked here, so and throughout. So it just unbelievable to see all those kids performing together too. It's just such a, it's a heartwarming moment, I think, for Scituate. And
yeah, I think that's particularly neat. You get a snapshot of the whole band program, and if you're a younger parent and student, you have some opportunity to see what lies ahead with some work.
I love the work that you're doing around just the bridging with the step up day for trying to keep that retention or just interest of kids, because at those ages they're being pulled in so many directions, but to catch them and build that community too with the other elementary schools as they go into middle school is just such a great opportunity to have that. So that's really great.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is education. We're getting better at in our initial talks with families. Not so much that the arts presents, it's a double-edged sword. It has been for me since I've been 10 years old, and I'm 56. I've played saxophone for 46 years. And the best and worst thing about it is that my work is never done, And I think there are plateaus, there are ways that music tests you. And if you're resilient and you realize that there'll be tests that come, then you'll stick with it and continue on. And I think those lessons are now more important than ever.
I mean, it's similar to what Mr. Lesniak was saying. It's the challenge as they get into those upper class, what to choose in their schedule and how to really choose fine art and to stay in those programs and stay in band and chorus. And
yeah, and what we haven't talked about today that I think is important to know that we're considering is pathways are great. My only concern with pathways is you want to have the ability for a student to try something new and different. And I will tell you that all of the department chairs are in agreement that we need to build reciprocity in the course offerings that we have so that students can find their ways into different disciplines and opportunities. It's a tricky balancing act, but it's one that at least we're mindful of.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
My voice held out. I'm happy.
You're great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Policy Subcommittee. See policies tonight.
Yeah.
Is it the coldness or a cold policy talk?
No, I love
We're about to heat up.
It's the cold that makes me yawn.
I know, this is not the
Same.
time to be losing your strength here. You're just getting into it.
So we wanted to bring the C policies to the group. There are very much fewer of them than the Bs, but our hope is to be able to accomplish a overhaul of them similar to the B policies. So our intention is for the subcommittee to review them in much of the way that we did with the B policies. So you can see in the document here, we have assigned them to ourselves in thirds. So we will each be taking a close look at our own third. So the first third is Ryan's, the next third is Janice's, the last third is mine. So that in our subcommittee, we'll do the same thing we did last time, like give you guys back a very like specific, this crossed out, replace it with that, blah, 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 here's our recommendation. But before we do that, we wanted to give the whole group a chance to look at these and see if there's anything that you all as a group wanted to note or wanted us to look at or make sure that we did or did not do in our next step review. But our goal is to get these tied up before the end of this school year. So we're pretty running towards that.
Have a blast.
Thanks.
Will. You don't know what you're missing.
Some of them look like they're really just the cleanup.
Yeah,
basically.
This is a particular section where we have extras that Mask doesn't have. I noticed that in a few places.
There's a
So
few.
we'll have to investigate that a bit, try to understand where that's coming from historically. Sometimes when we come across those, we realize upon reading them, oh, like that makes sense. We understand why we would have that. It can also be helpful when we come across those to see if any other districts in the state also have them. Because just because Mask doesn't have it doesn't mean we don't need it or want it. We don't automatically discount it, but it's just,
It also seems like sometimes Mask's updated their policy and it includes a piece that we've got separated into more than one. It's just that
correct.
little housekeeping, just to make it more succinct, just always appreciated.
Absolutely. One that I really liked was CBI, evaluation of the superintendent. I feel like the Mask version is much more specific, and it kind of gets at like the heart of why we're doing the evaluation, as opposed to ours. It's like a little bit more procedural. So I think that's a good example of like this more modernized version here that we see that Mask has done, which was updated in 2022, so fairly recently. I think
Ours has no date.
ours has, God, goodness only knows when. I know when ours was done. But we just wanted to preview these and give you all a chance if you had any notes or thoughts.
I should have written it down. There was one thing that I was hoping you guys could clarify.
You can always email us.
Okay.
Email me.
It was like a clarification on one of the Mask policies. It was, I think it might be in the superintendent vote one. It was something like, the way it's written, I was unclear if we needed a majority vote or if it was a 5-0, you know what I mean? Unanimous.
Yep.
And that was on the Mask side.
Okay. We can keep an eye out for that when we're.
I
reviewing
can
them with the
email you
signers
guys
home.
when I find it.
Okay.
But it was just a I don't know if maybe I wasn't reading it correctly or if it was somewhere else clear in this piece of it, but
Is it in
Here it
CBD, superintendent contract?
it's, yes. Yeah, it says in accordance with said contract or in the absence of specific contract language by vote of the members.
The committee
All
may choose
five,
to
or-
negotiate a successor contract.
Just says vote of the members.
I assume it just means a simple majority in that case.
Right.
but-
Majority.
Yeah, yeah.
But
we
it's
can-
superintendent's contract, so I was like,
It's a
oh,
big
that's
deal.
interesting.
You
Yeah.
don't have to be,
I think it's like anything
Yeah.
else, just a majority.
Just a majority. Okay.
Yeah, we can take a look. Yep. Great. Anything, Peter?
Thank you for doing it.
Okay.
so he doesn't.
Nope. Carrie, did you have anything that you wanted to? No, you're good.
I'm good.
Also, thank you for doing
Also,
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing those again after your review. We have a warrant for tonight. Back up.
Just the written one.
Oh, I thought there's one in our,
There is one of
there is one in our backup.
Is there? Okay. Cindy has gone on vacation, so I may simply have missed it in trying to get everything together. So I will read in warrant number S 260514.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for $263,621.63.
Thank you.
Like I said, I think it just got misplaced in all my,
We have it in
Shuffling.
our backup, so
as I'm now,
it's in.
yeah, looking
why I'm
forward to getting payroll done.
Good. Questions? Peter, you this is your last chance to.
Oh, I won't
No,
be-
one more
comment
meeting.
about
But there might not be a warrant.
Oh.
Oh, on the warrant? No,
Come on.
it's a small one, at least, no, I'm good. Electric utilities is pretty high, but we expect that.
Just wanted something on the record, like a final comment, just in case, there could be one more.
We need to watch out for our utilities next year. This is not really to the warrant, but
Yeah,
I would expect that our budget, that we budget for, is probably not gonna be enough, would be my guess. But that's not for now.
I think there's foreshadowing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
No.
No.
Not yet, sorry,
We have
Peter.
one more update. We're close. Any subcommittee reports? Any subcommittee working groups?
I do have one.
Just one.
So I attended it wasn't actually, I don't know. I attended a meeting convened by
Did you?
some board member, Nico Abanasenko, about the e-bikes. I wanted to share an update. So in that meeting, it was a representative from the Beautification Commission, Scituate Police, Bylaw Review, Bike Commission, Economic Development Commission, and our committee, and me. So it was a smallish group. He shared that Governor Healy has filed some legislation back on May 4th, the Ride Safe Act. So it'll be a while before it kind of makes its way through the process, but what that would do would be to introduce some requirements onto e-bikes, such as insurance registrations and licensing for the very top tier of e-bikes. So I learned a lot about e-bikes on this
There's more than
evening.
one tier.
There are many tiers, Janice, many tiers. So it was actually very educational for me because I didn't really know a lot about them. So we talked about how there are, kind of the more basic pedal assist bikes that you might not even know is an e-bike. When you see someone riding it, it just looks like a regular bike. All the way to what is called a fat tire or a mini bike that has more of a throttle situation, and those can gain some speed and things like that. And there's there's a range in there. And so for that very top tier, the kind of more motorcycle-y of the e-bikes, those are the ones that kind of this Ride Safe Act would require, like things like insurance registration and things like that. But we had just a conversation amongst the group about e-bikes in Scituate. A lot of people shared a lot of great uses for e-bikes. They really make riding more accessible to more people. They allow people to get further around town than they might otherwise get. There was talk about not only like teens and kids, but also older adults in town. So there's actually like a fairly high amount of usage, it seems, but we don't really have any concrete data on numbers, who's using them, why, how. Like there's just, that seems like a logical next step. The person who was there from the police department did not report that there are any unusual problems, or like doesn't seem like there's a problem with e-bikes, so that's good. But this was
So there hasn't been any like accidents.
No, there has been.
There's been near misses, I'm sure.
So that's kind of like where this group was talking, is just like, what can we do to make sure that they stay safe and stay accessible, and how do we make Scituate a place that, where these things are welcomed and, kids are able and people are able to use them. And so I think where we come in as the schools, obviously a lot of kids are riding these to and from school. School is a natural place where children and families gather. So it seems like a good place to try to think about education. We do have some programs already, the Safe Routes to School. We have those bike days at all the elementary schools where they'll come in and they'll have a bike to school day. They do some bike safety. They hand out the reflectors that go on the kids' they'll grow the month or whatever's. They review bike safety. They have, the Scituate Bike Commission has done some bike derbies at different elementary schools. So there's lots of, I think, existing programs and ways we can think about expanding those and bringing more
Traditional
families. Traditional and e-bikes, so this is, e-bikes are not yet their own category, I think, in some of the trainings that the bike committee's been doing in town, but it stands to reason that they maybe should be, The Scituate police officer that was there did not say that he thought that kids not wearing helmets was a huge problem. I think when we're around town, we all sometimes see a kid without a helmet, but it's more the exception than the rule. But they have been piloting something that they call safety cones, where they will give a certificate to a kid when they're doing the right thing, and they get a free ice cream cone. And I was encouraging him to include big kids in that. I said, when you see a teenager, don't assume they don't want an ice cream.
It should be anybody on a bike.
Anybody,
Kids and adults.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that's like a great example of like something that might come out of this is like, it's not just about punishing or banning or anything. It's meant to be more of a broader conversation about just all the ways people are using them. How can we encourage people to be safe? So the safety cones was a good idea and something that has just a pilot this year. So
Did he discuss the police rep, the speed of the bike and how the e-bike and how that puts it in a different category of like needing a license?
Those are the tiers. That's where like part of the tiering of the e-bikes comes in. So like there's never going to be like the case that you need to like, I shouldn't say never, but most likely there would not be the case that you need to get a license for something that's like a pedal assist. But when you start talking about these bikes, they're going 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Fully motorized. And so that's where there needs to be like some clearer distinctions.
Right.
It's kind of like the industry moved a lot faster than the regulation.
Education.
So now we're sort of playing catch up and realizing, okay, what are the categories? What needs to happen for each of them?
Is this group reconvening?
So I was gonna say, I do think it will probably reconvene. If anyone else would like to be our liaison to the e-bike group, please let me know. I don't mind doing it, but.
There are also there are also already a lot of Massachusetts laws around dirt bikes, it's all different classes and different motor sizes. So like, I don't know. I'm a road biker, not an electric biker. I think there are places where we're already starting to do some of the safety, like where do you ride on the road? Are you signaling when you're turning? Are you wearing your helmet? Are you talking to the people in front of you to say like on your left? Like, I think there's a lot we can do, and I just want us to be having discussions, not being like, oh, we have to ban these things because they're, dangerous.
That was definitely not the
Good.
conversation. It was very pro biking and pro helping people kind of like, get to a place. One interesting part of the conversation I think was like, for a lot of parents, we tell our kids to ride on the sidewalk because that is and especially for little kids, you want them on the sidewalk.
Yes.
At what point do we cross into a place of not wanting them on the sidewalk? And what does that look like? And if you're a kid who's grown up riding on the sidewalk, you haven't had to learn turn signals and things because you're literally just looking for the sidewalks and how to get from one sidewalk to the next around town. But when you're a teenager and suddenly you're driving something that is a little bit more, has a motor on it, now you maybe are on the street, but you haven't learned how to be on the street, so that's like a different skill set that we'll have to start thinking about. So it's interesting.
Thank you for representing.
Scituate is pro bike. That's the outcome. That's the headline. Pro bike. That's what's AI, if you're listening.
No, I'm not gonna say that. All right, thank you for that report. I don't think we had any others to have a school building committee meeting on Wednesday. On site, which is exciting. For the site. Yeah, see progress there. Do we get hard hats?
I'm sure there will be hard hats, yes.
There will be hard hats.
Pictures.
Yes, great. All right, anything else? And subcommittees or working groups?
I think we're gonna
Yeah,
table
we're
that
having
until we
right
have our new person on board, right?
Yeah.
We can figure that out next year.
School year's almost over. You can email us if you have a question. schoolscommittee@cit.org. No current office hours. Okay, so.
Peter's ready.
Peter's ready.
Motion to adjourn at 8:08.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Borkowski,
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Fenwick.
Yes.
Lindwall.
Yes.
Brandolini, yes.